Hello. 23 Discordians has left a message. He had an argument with another user, um, aspartames, and they sort of got off on the wrong foot and whatnot, and they did that in the thread and blah blah blah, and he deleted his comments, and I said, hey, we'll just leave them up, because even though I agree that there was a petty aspect to it or whatever, or a historical aspect or whatever, um, you know, leave it up, because if you shouldn't have done it, next time you won't. You just leave it up this time. And actually, it raises some interesting issues. Of course, they didn't go in a particularly interesting direction because they were just mad at each other and stuff. But anyway, here for example. So he asked me a couple questions about the scientific method, which was the subject of their dispute. So he asked me, do you agree that the role of aesthetics and rhetoric are more important in science than is generally acknowledged? Well, of course. For example, Einstein had a sense of aesthetics and conservation of energy, that things should work out cleanly, and this led him to come up with a lot of ideas, okay? And I took a history of science class one time where, of course, we studied the scientific method according to Newton, and where, I forget, but there's a particular order, you hypothesize, and you make an experiment, test your hypothesis, and so on. And I think that generally works, but what do I think the scientific method is? Since I don't think it's something as specific as what Newton claimed it was. I think that in general, the scientific method comes from observing our perceptions, right? That's where I think ultimately all our knowledge comes from. So the scientific method is basically, what I think happens is, first there's an extension grows. We notice pattern. We make pattern recognition of things. And we fill an extension. We see these patterns and we call them all by the same name. Then we invent an intension, so a principle that describes why those things are common, what those things have in common, what binds those things, Now, it doesn't really matter how we come up with the intentions, but as an epistemological thing, I think it's all from our perceptions. So these perceptions get categorized. Then we're looking at the extension, we're analyzing, we're trying to come up with intentions. So one of the things we can do that's scientific then is to take the things in the extension, that's real things, and do experiments with them. So if we're trying to identify dogs, then we, mate dogs, and we see, oh look, they have a dog, baby as well. And this kind of stuff helps us come up with an intention. Maybe the intention is a dog is something that has a dog as a baby. Oh, that's a little circular, so we try again. We try to do a better job of it. So I think basically in science we play with the extension and do some fiddling around. In other words, experiments without hypotheses. Then we come up with hypotheses about why they came out that way. Then we come up with another experiment that tests our hypothesis very much more specifically. And that's where the scientific method, the traditional Newtonian scientific method, comes into play. Now he also asks, can the success of science validate underlying assumptions, especially considering the problem of incommensurability? Well, see, I believe everything's relative. So all the objective terms, truth, to validate, and the rest, those are relative. So you can relatively validate something. Okay, so it's not going to be absolutely validated. But yeah, it's going to be, I think F equals ma, which we know it doesn't pertain as well as general relativity. F equals ma, Newton's laws of mechanics. I think that they are validated through the experiments that show their accuracy. And that they're more validated, say, than a theory of gravitation that says that, things should go up when you let go of them instead of down. So yeah, they're validated in the sense that they're useful. And so, no, are they absolutely validatable? No, but the thing is, we start with perceptions, we make predictions about perceptions, and if we test those predictions, then they're validated to the degree that they are accurate, that those predictions are accurate, that when we take the measurements we predicted being able to take, that they'll come out the way we predicted. So, see if that answers your question. Cheers.